We actually can't stand each other. So we needed a few chairs in between. I didn't realize we were coming straight here, so I had my hand first. Satchel? Is it a satchel? Is that what they're called? Oh man, I think there was a wrestler named Satchel Paige. Great name. These people look kind of weird. Take pictures of them.
Keep the facade going that we're friends.
Yeah. So what's going on?
What's up?
I don't think we have anyone to run around with a microphone, so
You got a box, bro! That one, bro, the box.
okay, one at a time now, folks. Don't get out of control.
We got here with no mediator, so we're assuming they thought nobody was going to show up for us, so that's so it goes well.
Throw a box at them.
That box right there. So.
And I just chuck it at people.
Check it!
Gosh, this is the best Q&A ever.
That's not a lawsuit.
Did you all sign waivers? I'm coming for you, kid. I'm just joking.
It's a good thing we're
Way too cute. All right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I guess we just start. Who's got a question?
Is this Q&A? Are we just supposed to talk? Like, am I supposed to do a monologue, or like, am I supposed to? Am I supposed to do a PowerPoint presentation, or?
Do you have a monologue prepared? Do you walk around with a monologue?
Second pose!
I might have one, right?
It's not for a pose, Dan.
What?
Second pose.
2 second pose. You're talking about 5 second pose.
5, 2, 1.
All right, so I just start tossing this thing to people and force you to ask questions, or do I toss it to people who put their hands up? Because I kind of want to awkwardly make someone ask, even if they don't want to. So if you don't have your hand up, there's a good chance it's going to be fired at your head. Just saying.
I want to do my monologue.
Do your monologue, Jay.
All right, I don't have one.
Exactly. Exactly. We had nothing prepared for this, in case you couldn't tell, which is very similar to our podcast, if any of you listen to it. That was a cheap plug, by the way. You can listen to it on Stitcher, Spotify, and wherever else you listen to these things. All right, so who's got a question? I want to practice. Oh, the guy that wanted to hold me. Oh, man!
I still got it. I feel good about that.
Me too.
Wanting to hold you and catching this.
Fair enough. I'll accept that.
Fair, thank you. So I heard something recently that you actually turned down the character about Venus.
First of all, I don't believe you read for 1 second. Somebody told you. Well, I'm kind of here and I can hear you, so I feel it's my place to step in.
Fair point. So, I mean, this actually, I guess, applies to like both of you in different points of your careers. Like, what was it like to actually turn down, like, because you were fairly new at that point in your career, what was it like to basically be like, no?
Well, this is why you don't always believe what you read.
Or what people tell you in your case.
So, here's the deal. I used to have a character that I did on the Indies called Sets in Hardcastle.
Oh, I know.
And the idea, of course you do.
Weird embracing guy.
So, weird embracing guy. The character, the idea was essentially about Venus. So, I was actually like, man, he's getting that character? I've already been doing that. I wanted it. So I didn't get to turn it down. If anything, I did not have the foresight to realize how lame it could be.
I would pay real money to know how you would have done it. Hello, lady.
Well, no, I mean, let's face it, it would have been far cooler.
I feel like now you have to do it though.
What?
I feel like now you have to try that Okay, we'll do it your way.
That's what we're talking about, weird embracing guy.
And this is a dated reference, but we truly are grumpy old men. Like, he is Walter Matthau, I'm Jack.
I think I would have put a Spanish spin on it. Because, you know, I look Spanish. I'd have been like, hola, ladies. But I would have twisted my straight up. What was that? Do that again. That was a twisty mustache.
Why do you have a twisty mustache? Are you rolling fingers? What are you doing? Twisty mustache.
Hey, this isn't about me, it's about weird embracing guy.
See what you did?
Sorry, I guess.
Yeah, no, don't be sorry.
Do you want me to pass this on?
I don't know how it works from there.
Chuck it.
Do you chuck it at the person now?
Oh, good one.
Bad.
Good one.
That's okay. It's all right.
So my question is, have you all filled out your brackets?
It's not official until you speak into the cube. We're all playing by the same rules here, man.
Where's the cube?
It's right here.
There. Okay, talking to the cube.
Okay, so my question is...
You have to say Alexa first.
Alexa?
Like my kids can work Alexa, and they're 2 and 5, and I'm like, how?
My daughter goes, Alexa, play Fart Stain Poopy. And she laughs, and then something plays.
We're baby shark.
Anyways,
there you go, kiddo. Yeah. Mommy shark. I know I'm silly. I'm just a silly big old hairy dad. All right, sorry, I went down that path.
Okay, so my question is...
It is a hurt song.
Oh, sorry. Who's got the cube, man?
Where's the cube? Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, have you all filled out your brackets, and who do you have winning the championship?
What are you talking about?
Brackets for what?
March Madness.
You know you're talking to Canadians, right?
If it's not hockey, we don't care. It's all fake.
I got Tallahassee Judo.
Hey, Wildcats. I know my audience. No? Whoops. You just got a pander. All right.
Was there any point in your career that WWE or TNA allowed you to have freedom, creative control, freedom of that with your characters?
Well, he was more over than me, so he had a lot more to do with that. But, I mean, I think you get to a certain point where you earn enough trust where your word carries a little bit more. If you feel something, you go in and make suggestions, but I don't think, nor do I think anybody should have 100% creative control. But like I said, you do earn enough respect, and when it's obvious that you're working for the betterment of the show, not for yourself, that what you're saying carries a lot more weight, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think initially I made sure to wait until it was something that I felt very strongly about. I didn't go for nickel and dime stuff. It had to be something that I truly felt is important. Like that was going to be a hill to die on. Those were the things that I'd go to Vince about. And luckily, when I did, there were things that usually ended up working. So one of the first instances I can remember was I was wrestling Lance Storm at SummerSlam for the Intercontinental title. And this involves you. Okay, so eventually...
I was saying Lance. I was making fun of Lance.
Okay. So...
God, he's boring.
In putting the match together, I had this idea, because we were in the midst of kind of the King of the Ring trophy and kind of the jealousy brewing between Edge and Christian. I felt he needed to come down and looked like he was trying to get Lance, or was he? And that felt like a very pivotal moment for the storyline, for the match. I thought it'd be a great false finish. I thought it would be the false finish of the match. And I remember our agent at the time was a guy who had just started, and I knew he wasn't going to tell me and relaying these ideas, so I went straight to Vince. And I said, listen, I think this is really important. I think it furthers everything going forward. I think it'll be great for the match. He said, go for it. And I went, whoa. Oh. All right. And then we did it, and he came in and speared me and said he didn't mean to, and then 2 weeks later slammed a trophy on my stomach and said he didn't do it very hard. Watch it back. He slammed that trophy as if he was trying to nail Beelzebub down in
Well, I dropped it. It's like trying to hold onto this cube. It's virtually impossible. So I just got that in my hand.
Yeah. At a rate of 50 miles an hour.
I swear it's true. Can we just talk about Weird Racing Guy again? Because all the heat seems to go to me when we're not talking about him.
All right, where's the Jude? Toss it. There we go.
So, well, 2 questions. One question is have you guys gotten any offers from AEW? And the other question is are you guys going to be at WrestleMania?
Wow. I fired up on that last one, so we got offered deals by one company and we're going to the other one.
I'm covert, actually.
Yeah.
I did get offered a deal, and I'm going to go to WrestleMania. I'm going to infiltrate. I'm going to find out all of their secrets, and I'm going to take them back to AEW. Will you get this on video? No, there's been, neither one of us wrestled anymore,
Yeah.
So, but that being said, I also think we're both known for our wrestling minds, I guess.
We're very smart. Very, very smart.
Keep on.
He might be throwing that idea down the toilet right now, but so no offer, no talks, anything like that. I hope they succeed. I really do, and I think it's great for everyone if they do.
The thing is, it's the best for wrestling fans to have options. It gives you another option, right? So, and there's a ton of talent out there, and there's only so many spots on rosters for that talent. So the more places that guys and girls have to go and earn a living, it's a good thing in my opinion. See, I'm smart.
And I will be wrestling. I have to now. My wife's probably going to be wrestling there, so I really have no choice.
I'm not wrestling. What are you talking about? I'm not wrestling. What are you talking about? So, we're a racing guy, huh?
Toss that cube. Oh my God.
I don't know what to do with this, whether I want to hold it or put it in here.
You do not look like a rock star. At all.
Tell me something.
Yeah, keep on racing, sure.
No, that wasn't. That was from A Star Is Born soundtrack. Sure. No? No takers on that? I'm on the side.
There we go, one person. All right.
Well, next time you go see SpongeBob, invite me. I'll go watch that with you.
Downstairs, wanna go?
Oh man, that delivery was amazing. I want to record you saying that. That's my ringtone. Oh, that's so good. How about that as my alarm in the morning? Oh. You watched A Star Is Born? Really?
Well, time to start today. And then you roll over and you see Weird Racing Guy there. What's for breakfast, Adam?
Oh, my God.
Let's ask the cube.
Where's that cube?
Oh, hi.
Hi.
How are we doing? So in light of a recent podcast that may or may not have a tag team that are totally brothers as well, do you have any tales about action figures? Because I'm equally nerdy as Mr. Cardona and Mr. Myers. And
That's Zack Ryder. Hopkins to you.
you're right. I saw what he did to Mr. Ryder right here in Lexington, Kentucky with the kendo stick.
Did I do something to him?
No, not you.
Oh.
That's the man!
What I do?
You did?
Oh, you laid it in.
Who?
Ryder.
I did?
Here?
I'm sure he deserved it.
Was that in the microphone or was it?
I beat him up with a kendo stick?
Just a little bit. I mean,
Okay.
you were working Randy, more specifically.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Kids here.
So action figures.
So, right, so you have details of both in regards to action figures. Like, I've seen some of the scans, you've been around for so long, that certainly there's head scans that are just like,
You're so old. There's hundreds of action figures of you.
I just want to say as well, that's a strong head of hair. It's very...
I know,
Yeah.
That's what I was waiting for.
hello, my name is Billy, I'm 32 years young, and I just started wrestling this year. Thank you all.
Yeah. You were alright guys this whole time. Who are you working for, man?
AEW?
Yeah. Do you have our contracts?
Are you going to WrestleMania?
I remember.
Did you go to Star Wars board?
Okay, so
Action figure tale.
So here's an
Here's
action.
your head. You or
Here's an action figure tale.
There we go.
The very first action figure, that was huge. I think it was pivotal for both of us, but I want to answer for him. I remember where we were when I saw the first Edge action figure because we never got them sent to us in the mail or anything like that. So it was in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and we were going to the show, but we forgot we didn't have towels because we used to steal the towels from the hotel, and we forgot. So we stopped by Target, the Brood. So there's the three of us. There's also Dave, Gangrel, and so it just looked weird to begin with. The three of us in a Target buying towels. It's just so weird. But so buying these towels, we go through the toy section. It's like, so I grab it and I go up to the cashier with my green towel and my action figure, and I'm like hoping she doesn't realize that I'm buying my own action figure. So I'm like kind of keeping my head down, and like when a teacher would ask me a question in school, I'd like pretend to do it with my shoes. So I'm kind of doing that. I'm like, she didn't look, she didn't see, but that moment is forever etched in my brain. It didn't look anything like me. It could have been Dog Santa Hunter.
Who's coincidentally here tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah, that was the timing. Thanks, buddy. Thanks for picking up on that.
Doug.
So what's your attitude?
Oh, you just picked your team.
What's the matter with you? You're in front of like,
I don't care, we're friends here. It doesn't matter to me.
he is a vile creature.
So, here's also a good trick. You're talking about stealing hotel towels?
What is your action figure story?
We'll get to that. This is important. So last day of the road trip, what I would do is, I would steal an extra towel,
Take it home.
take it home, and then on the first day back, on the road, had a towel, so I didn't have to dry off with the paper towel that was in the bathroom, which was also very hard to do.
Because usually we would get checked into the hotel before the show.
Right.
So
On the first day back, I would action figures, huh?
So you're a wrestler. Is that what you said?
In training, yeah.
Well, there's a little trick for you.
There's your lesson number one. It's basic if you do that.
All you aspiring wrestlers out there watching on those guys' phones, that's what you're doing. You just steal towels. You'll be heavyweight champion before you know it. Yeah.
I don't remember where I got my first. I don't remember.
Riveting story.
I'm trying to remember. I remember seeing it. I remember looking really weird, and then oh, it's still cool. It's supposed to be me, but it didn't really look like me. But it was.
But it had a publisher.
It did. It's still my favorite action figure because it was the very first one. But I don't remember where I got it.
Oh, here's a story. Ruby saw a picture of one of your action figures where you were wearing a puffy shirt. She goes, Uncle Jay's a pirate.
Well, here's a funny action figure story as well. So the old school one where I had long hair, And in the newer school one, where I have short hair, my daughter never knew me with long hair. So her mother has long blonde hair, so she carries one around and calls it mommy, and the other one. No, your dad is the one that's rolling in this house. Right? I'm the one with the action figures.
There's a good story. All right. Where's the cube? Toss it. Oh, I'm scared of this one.
So, what was your favorite match by yourself or tag team?
That's a good question. How is it that you've had the best question so far? Kudos to you. I'm very impressed. My favorite tag match of ours, and it's a good question because I was.
It doesn't have to be me as your partner. You don't have to say it just because I'm sitting here. It could be a tag team match with Chris Jericho. It could be a tag team match.
Me and the tandem, me and Billy Kidman in our whirlwind tag team. Okay. I'm just trying to be nice to you. I think that I look at my career in two different phases. Thank you. Tag team and singles. So tag team, I think the first ladder match with the Hardy Boys, because it took us from just being, it took us to another level. It took us to legitimately being superstars overnight. So the meaning of that match to me, and I don't know if any of our careers would have been the same without that moment. So to me, that was huge. As a singles, it's hard not to say winning the World Heavyweight Championship for the first time, for a couple of reasons. One, because he was there, and I know that Adam had wanted it to happen, and for me to have that moment for a long time, so it meant just as much to him for me to win that match. It was in Tampa, where I've lived for so long. And just what it symbolized as I reached that level, that match. But I think overall, my series of matches with Randy Orton were probably my favorite as a singles wrestler.
Ooh. Okay, I mean, the tag team match that he mentioned, the ladder match with the Hardys, was obviously huge. It was pivotal for all of us. Plus, it's a weird story. I was living in the Bahamas at the time, and landed in Miami, and a hurricane hit. So all my flights were canceled, and I drove through the hurricane up to Tampa to catch a flight to get to Cleveland. So I landed at 4 in the afternoon, and these three were all huddled in a hallway talking about it. I was like, all right, what are we doing? I just drove through a hurricane. And so just the whole lead up was just insane, you know, and that was a huge match. I also think the triple ladder match with the Dudleys at WrestleMania and Hardys, because that was where we won the tag team titles for the first time, as two kids your age saying we were going to do that, to actually do it and actually have this thing come true, which...
You know, and also here, like, we grew up on
okay,
I'm adding to it. I'm trying to make your story better. I was going to say that we grew up on Howard Finkel's voice, and whenever he used to announce a new champion, I would get goosebumps. So to hear him say, and new World Wrestling Federation Tag Team Champions, he said Christian Edge, which I like.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, he loved the fact that he's the only guy who put Christian first.
But, you know, to me, like, to hear that, it's like, oh my God. Yeah, it sat into that moment. Like,
It was, so I think from a tag team, that was, but I mean, all those TLC matches, they were so crazy, and after the fact, we were like, wow, okay, we made it through another one. So those were all really huge. Singles, man. I gotta say, Undertaker at WrestleMania, I think, is it doesn't get any higher than that. So I think, but I had a lot of matches that I really enjoyed. It's like picking your favorite kid. You can't.
I can. I only have one.
You had one good match too, so. Come on, you lobbed that one up. I had to knock that out of the park. He's thinking. Look at him. Those gears were so rusty right now. He's like,
I think it was a little uncalled for. Well, I'm not gonna lie.
Absolutely it was.
But I had a better one that I said to him earlier with somebody else earlier in his presence, and I'm mad now there wasn't a microphone by the photo ops, which I think is going to be mandatory at all my appearances from now on. So everyone can hear it.
With your green M&Ms. Who's got the cube? Man. Oh. I like when I get caught.
Who has the question?
You might need to reload.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my gosh.
If you were still wrestling, who would you want to face in either WWE or on the independent scene?
You want me to answer? Because I got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I used to say I don't even think about it because I know it's not possible, you know, and that seems like Chinese water torture, you know. So, but then in starting to watch for the podcast again, I really started to appreciate some talents that were coming along. The first guy, honestly, that I think of is Aleister Black. I really, really like to partner with him because I feel like I know where I can just put his stuff in different places and come up with scenarios. And I start doing this when I start thinking about wrestling matches. A weird, mad scientist. Him, Reigns, I've always really thought, you know, I could get in there with him and do some really cool stuff. Rollins, that's the one that people always ask me about. You know, when it's the new people, it's like, man, you and Rollins. I don't know. So that would be a fun one because, and it's weird because there was like this action figure that they finally started. I had to retire for them to start sending them to my house. Then I finally started getting action figures, and there was one that showed up, and it was, I guess, a fan favorite. They polled fans on matches that they wanted to see. And then they made an action figure package out of it, so it was Rollins versus Edge. And hold on, I never got to work AJ. You did, so just chill. And Joe, Samoa Joe, I never got in there with, so that would be cool too. You? What? Anybody?
I was going to say something, I forgot.
I tell you who I would like to see him wrestle.
Oh, I was going to say,
Sami Zayn.
Yeah,
you two would have a really, really good
I
match.
actually matches everybody. It was amazing.
I had to give him that one back. Yeah.
But it's true. It's not bragging, it's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. It's okay to believe.
Welcome to my life.
I would like to give everybody the dream match that they've always wanted: Christian versus Shark Boy.
Baby
Shark.
Baby Shark.
Yeah, Sami's going to be good. I think he'd be annoying to put the match together with.
Have you put a match together with you?
As long as everyone agrees that my ideas are the best, then there's no issues.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think same thing. I've actually had a chance to get into wrestle Seth Rollins as a Shield member. I'd like to see where he's at now as a singles, like, you know, where he's kind of had this evolution, so to speak, of his character and where he's at now. Same with AJ. I wrestled AJ in TNA many times, but I mean, just where he's at now would be great. Yeah, I think Sami Zayn, I would have pretty good match. What about Edge and Christian versus the Revival, or Edge and Christian versus the Usos?
See, here's the thing with the Revival. Someone asked me that, and the first two teams that pop into my head are the Revival and the Usos. But the Revival are very, I don't know, it would be like oil and oil, almost. It's like,
yeah,
we're better as heels, they're better as heels, whereas the Usos could be faces, we would be heels, and I feel like that one would really, like, be fun.
Sure. Who would you guys like to see us against?
Finn Balor.
Yeah, that'd be good. I wrestled Finn Balor in Japan once already.
Young Bucks.
Shot the crap out of
The Young Bucks versus the old.
the old trucks.
Where's the tube?
What about Gallows and Anderson?
Yeah, they could be fun. I've wrestled Gallows before.
The Doctors.
The Doctors?
I mean,
What do you know that we don't? Oh.
We could totally go in the movie Doctor Who and wrestle Doctor Who.
Are you a casting agent? Because I can use the word.
Where'd the cube go? Oh, there it is.
That's not text.
What is either as fans of wrestling or as working, what's the funniest thing you've seen in wrestling?
What was the question again?
Funniest.
See, so here's what happened. We got a text. And he stopped and looked. Didn't listen to a word you were saying. I did. Because I'm engaged with my audience. In case anyone wants to know the dynamic for our podcast, this is it. I listen to what our guests say, but he wanders off and bounces off of walls and stands in a corner and fiddles with his phone. This is what I live with.
But I'm the funnier one. Works. Go ahead with your questions, sir.
He already did.
Well, sometimes I like to hear it twice just so I give him a correct answer.
Oh my lord. All right.
Do you know the question?
Yes. Funny things in wrestling. What's the funniest thing you've seen in wrestling?
I want to hear you say it.
What's the funniest thing you've seen in wrestling?
I don't believe you mean it this time.
What is the funniest thing you've seen in wrestling? By the way, for me, it's tonight.
The funniest thing I've seen in wrestling. Like in a match that made me like legit laugh?
Yes.
The funniest thing I've ever seen is Tommy Dreamer with the shirt off. But
Melting Tommy.
Could be a match, be a backstage spot, whatever. But
I don't know. I mean, I remember when we were working Wrestling Too Cool, and they were really funny. They were really fun to be in there with. They were just really in tune to their characters, and they didn't take themselves too seriously. Neither did we. So I remember legit laughing a lot when we wrestled those guys. And I would look over some nights at Scotty,
and he just have a stunned look on his face. It was great.
well, and he'd start bouncing on the ropes while he was on the apron. So he'd stand on the bottom rope and just start bouncing like crazy with this maniacal look on his face. And I remember stopping and looking, and then he fell. And I had no idea he was going to do it, and I lost it. Just absolutely floored me. And so, and Owen was amazing for stuff like that. I mean, those were.
Owen Hart once whipped me, and like he backed me to the ropes, and he went, I said, what? He said, what did you say? And then as he's throwing me, he said, watch the Cobra Clutch. I was like, what do you, what? How do you?
And for those that don't know, that's pretty much impossible.
And then I was like, what? And he goes, just do it. He throws me off the ropes. I'm like, you can't do it, camel clutch, coming off the ropes. But he did. Somehow. Some way. I was funny.
And we had a lot of fun with Kurt too.
Yeah.
You know, with backstage stuff and things like that. Just from the stuff that we've done. I think those would be the ones that I think of. But I'm sure there's far funnier stuff that didn't involve us, but I just can't remember it right now.
You need the cube.
You need the cube.
Let's not throw this.
We gotta get her the cube.
There we go. Well.
Yeah, I trust her. Yeah.
As wrestlers, whom did you admire as you were growing up? What made you become wrestlers?
Oh, man. Well, what made me become a wrestler is I was stuck in the house with a broken arm, and I had this I was playing hockey in Canada, and I fell into the boards and broke my arm, and I had this sling on, so I wasn't allowed to go out of the house, so I turned on wrestling, and I didn't know what it was, and I was instantly hooked by the theatrics of it, and the personalities and those sorts of things. And it was right as Hulkamania was starting, like just right after Hulk Hogan had won the World Heavyweight Championship. He was the first guy that really kind of resonated with me as far as superhero status. And I think the first thing that I remember as far as an emotional connection, which is what you try to do as a performer, you try to get an emotional connection whether people like you or hate you, is silence is the enemy when you're a performer. Because that means nobody really cares about what you're doing. If they're cheering you or booing you, you have some sort of emotional connection with them. For me, it was when Big John Studd and Kenta Terra knocked out Andre the Giant to cut his hair. I remember like being in tears watching and saying, why won't somebody help Andre the Giant? Why are these guys cutting his hair? Why did they knock him out? Like, that was the first time that I was emotionally connected to it. And from that, like, I was a shy kid as well. And I always wished that I could be like the wrestlers that I saw on television. I wished that I was that type of person. So that's kind of what drew me to wrestling. I get deep, man.
It's like War and Peace over here.
The funny stuff is just a cover-up from all that I'm
What you're hiding inside.
Yeah. There's layers to this book, man.
Layers to a book.
Layers to this bed that I'm reading a book with lots of pages in.
There you go. See, I'm sorry, man. You just. Yeah. For me, it's very similar. You know, we were two kids that ended up in the same small town that had the same, you know, kind of. Hulk Hogan was the conduit in. For me, I just lost my uncle. He was 17 years old and I was 8, and he passed away in a car accident. So he was my closest buddy. And I remember having just feeling a huge hole. And then I saw wrestling. I was like, whoa, and it just took my mind off of it, honestly. And then that was it. It was just the hooks were in, and from there, you know, I found somebody who felt the same way and lived in the same town, and we were the two kids that were going to be wrestlers, and from a small town in Ontario that actually ended up doing it. So, you know, I've had a lot of guys, even and girls within the industry, when they hear the story, they're like, "That's a movie. Like those odds are astronomical." And for whatever reason, I think part of the reason we got there is because we had each other. Talk about getting deep. He's gonna cry. This is that's his weird fixation when he's like, as long as we got each other, we got the world spinning right in our hands, baby, you and me. We gotta be the luckiest dreamers. What show was that from? Growing Pains, yeah. Thank you. Thank you guys, same age as us.
Not to mistake with Weird Racing Guy, who was looking at you very weird when you were saying that. He was getting jealous. Jelly, like kids say.
He just looked up.
I passed for the wrong dude. I was aiming for the dude in the hat, and I missed. So I was trying to apologize.
Okay. Guys, let's not fight over the cube. Everybody gets a turn.
All right, is there any like funny botches that you guys have had over the years?
Then we watch Botchamania?
Every day, actually.
Do you?
Yes.
I feel like there's like an anger between you two.
No.
All right, just get back on your good side. I'll kiss a little ass. You were actually the definition of getting me to watch some TNA, okay?
Thanks, man. Still want to watch SpongeBob together? Botches? I've had a few. I don't know.
Me either. I don't know.
I'm not sure. You mean personally? Yeah, I don't know. The real pros can cover up the botches.
We're just too good.
I screwed up last time, but it's covering up.
I don't know. I can't. I'm sorry. I got nothing right now. I'm sure I'll think of something. Oh, okay. Well, this isn't really a botch, but like, it was in this arena, and I was teaming with Umaga, and it was a house show. It was a non-televised show, and it was myself and Umaga in the main event against the Great Khali and a Hurricane. hands. Roscoe was a little thin.
What's Hurricane doing in the main event? Just kidding, he's good for
Hurricane was the one you were concerned with, not Khali.
You're right.
I didn't like Khali in that match. I just held on to Hurricane the whole
I was
time.
only kidding.
Stay with me, buddy. So, I decided that I wanted to try and because I really enjoyed. You asked the question, now you're not even looking over here.
Yeah, he's texting buddy, we want to see SpongeBob later.
What's up, Butch, man? So I painted myself up as Umaga, and I put Canada in tribal letters on my stomach. I had Samoa, and I painted tribal, face paint on, and I tied my hair up in a thing straight up. He didn't see any of this. I stayed away from him backstage the whole night, and he didn't see me until I walked out, and I had him announce. He was the Samoan bulldozer, so I had him announce me as the Canadian backbreaker. And then I proceeded to just break Hurricane's back throughout the entire match. And I made a noise, and I stomped with it and everything, and Hurricane was wearing a shirt, which defeats the whole purpose, but I did it anyway. And I just remember I came out, and Eki Umaga just went. Here's the best part. A fan from Terry Bay is her name. She gave me pictures capturing that look on his face. And me going. I still have it, and I still love it. It's just the look on his face was priceless. So worth it.
Yeah, it was.
I have to keep it. All right, I'll announcement.
Hey, where are you guys going?
Oh, they're out of here now.
We have our own panel that we have.
See, you offended them. You offended them.
Hey, don't worry, no one will be there. Come on. I'm gonna see you guys. Thanks. I know, I'll be there.
Well, so you're just lying to these people.
Good luck with the panel, guys.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for coming. Seriously, have a good panel.
You guys are awesome.
You almost walked into the door.
Thought those guys would never leave. Sorry, what's the question?
Alright,
First of all, he stole the cube from you, and then when you were talking your question, he's like, we're out.
Yeah.
Totally just...
because I let it.
Yeah.
Anyway, when Stone Cold Steve Austin was coming up, Bret Hart said, yeah, I saw Stone Cold coming before he did. Now, are there any, superstars that are, really doing their thing right now that you saw, that you guys saw, way back there, yeah, I knew there was going to be something?
As a fan, I remember thinking Brett. I remember watching Brett going, man, this guy is super talented. I love the Hart Foundation, don't get me wrong. But I always thought, man, that if they let him go on his own, he's going to tear it up. And, he did. And then I remember the same thing with Shawn. And watching the Rockers and just thinking, Shawn Michaels is... Marty Jannetty is awesome too, but I just remember thinking Shawn Michaels is going to conquer the world if he gets a chance. Being in the industry and seeing guys, I always thought Dolph, still hasn't got the chance that he really, really deserved. And it always feels like the rug got pulled out very quickly. I don't know why. I think him, I see Drew now through McIntyre, and I feel like he found exactly, he worked hard, he worked on himself, he clearly worked on his body, and, he looks like he could, eat a Cadillac, I don't know, it just seems like it'd be hard to eat and walk. So.
Well, he's Scottish, couldn't really worse than eating haggis.
Touche.
For me, it was Randy Orton, actually. I wrestled Randy before he was even on TV. Very early on, it was a live event at a house show in Missouri, and they brought him and his dad came to watch, and that was huge for me because I was a huge Cowboy Bob Orton fan, and now I'm wrestling this kid who nobody knows, and so we went up to this match, and he had like zero reaction because it wasn't on TV, nobody knew who Randy Orton was, and so people were kind of cheering for me because I was a TV personality, they knew who I was, and I remember thinking, man, I gotta do something to change this pretty quick, or it could be storming upstream the entire match. So I just called him in the middle, and I started like poking him in the chest, like I was telling him off. And I was like, hey, you know, these people, they're gonna cheer for me, but you don't want that to happen. I'm gonna roll out of the ring here in about 5 seconds. This is exactly what you're gonna say. You're gonna grab the microphone, you're gonna say this, this, and this. He's like, oh, I can't do that. I said, do it. And I rolled out of the ring. He grabbed the microphone, what somebody said, and the crowd turned. And you could see the look in his eyes, like, oh, okay, it can be this easy. He relaxed a little bit, and then went in there, and I just remember how natural he was. And he's still, to this day, one of those guys that he can't tell you why he does the things that he does. He just has this innate ability to do what we do, to wrestle, and his instincts are impeccable. Like, he has instincts like I've never seen, and that makes, to me, the true art of wrestling and being somebody great is taking somebody and bringing them up to your level, and he can very much do that, but he can't tell you why. That's why he's so great. Like, he's just something that he has this natural thing, and to me, right then and there, I was like, this kid's going to be a huge star. So.
Yeah, and I think the Hardys too were when we were in the midst of it, we could just see like how special they were, and the connection that Jeff specifically has with an audience. There's nothing manufactured. He just is Jeff. And again, I don't think he thinks about it at all. He's just him. Hi.
What's up?
Okay.
What? Who are you?
That's not true. We're all someone. Don't you ever talk disparagingly about yourself that way.
Come on up here. Let's get to know you.
All right, where's you? Oh, yeah. And Rock, obviously. I mean, that guy was, you could just tell once you got rid of the pineapple hair.
This is for you, Ed. Was you real sore when you had a TLC match with John Cena as a kid?
Yeah, but the TLCs always were. You know, like every TLC match.
I didn't want to answer that question anyway.
Sorry? I did. But the tag team match ones, there was more of us to kind of split the responsibilities. So, not that they were easier because they were chaotic because there was 6 people in them. But you could split the falls. You know, so they split between 6 people.
I'm talking to the children. They're sleeping.
I'm talking to the children. The singles ones were more difficult, and I think I was the guy that was in the first few singles TLC matches, so I was trying to figure out the challenge of making them as entertaining without, 4 people, without 4 extra people. So it has to be a different beast altogether. And I didn't realize until Dallas DDP put this package together of a lot of my bumps in those matches, and I thought, wow, my idea in these singles TLC matches was to just have John Cena, The Undertaker, and Ric Flair throw me through everything. That's why I'm retired. Like, I get it now, but it took that 2.5-minute package for me to fully understand it.
Who do you think should be in the Hall of Fame right now?
And there's so many people, and it's like, there's only so many people you can put in each year, and then there's always going to be people who complain, but I can't believe it's so. I mean, listen, there's so many people that deserve to be in there. I mean, how many spots is there each year? Like 8 or something? I don't know. It's going to
Not enough, apparently.
I mean, there's so many, and it's like, what is the criteria? So Bobby McDaniel's not in there. How is that possible? Christian. Who?
Don't try to play nice now because you have to educate a question about me. It's not going to work, buddy.
That wasn't him, actually.
Was it? It's a valid statement.
I mean, there's Molly Holly. I mean, you can go down there. There's so many people that deserve to be in there, and you know it's going to happen for people that deserve to be in there. And I try not to.
Oh, it was funny. I did a Comic Con in Seattle last week, and like I get asked the question a lot. Hey, are you going to the Hall of Fame, or why aren't you in the Hall of Fame? Like, I don't know. Like, I don't think about it that much, to be honest with you. Like, I don't go to thinking like, I want to put me in the Hall of Fame. What? Like, I don't. I'm not worried about it. So, but I said in a couple of recent interviews, I've had a nickel for every time somebody asked me that. And a guy came up in Seattle, it was pretty funny, he put a nickel down in front of me, and he said, when are you going to the Hall of Fame? I said, well played, and I'm keeping this. And I took it.
And you think his alarm was actually that guy? His alarm is actually, and the news inductee in the 2019 Howard WWE Hall of Fame. I'm doing a Howard Finkel voice. Correct.
Maybe I stopped answering my phone. Nobody calls me anyway, so I had one phone call. Why does anybody call me anymore? You know?
We're all automatons with our face in our dark.
Sometimes I just want to talk to somebody.
Don't try and talk to me. I don't want to talk to you. And on that note, is there any more questions? Q. Toss it, man.
Good.
Forget about it.
Good stuff.
Almost got taken out.
Okay. This is probably another question that you guys get a lot. Heel or face, which is more fun to portray for the crowd?
Yeah. Heel for me is easy because it's my natural tendency.
In case you hadn't noticed.
I have a very, very unique gift to get under people's skin and to annoy people.
You know who would have been the most annoying tag team of all time? Christian and The Miz. Exactly! I just witnessed you all go at the same time. That would have been so funny.
Commisera. Captain Commisera.
Oh,
this is
not puns, though. Heel. Way more fun.
Okay, so
Whoa, when did you get that?
It's Oz.
You already asked a question. Andrew wearing a Hardy Boys shirt.
That's a real name shirt.
Oh, same thing.
Out of the current female talent on WWE and NXT, who is your favorite?
Beth Phoenix.
My favorite female talent? Man, I don't know. I really like what Becky's doing. I mean, I like stuff that's organic and not forced, and things that wasn't supposed to happen, and she forced it, and I appreciate that about her, and so I really, she's probably the most, to me, my favorite at this point to watch.
I really enjoy watching the Iconics too. I mean, they're funny and they're goofy and not afraid to be, and remind me a lot of us, honestly. I find them fun, but it's stacked now, which is great. You know, it's does
this work better?
He has ADD. He hasn't taken his medication. Years.
Oh, Miss Funny Pants back here, huh? Yeah?
Q.
Yeah, so I have one more question.
Okay, then we'll toss it over here.
You know the rules. No QB, no talkie.
This is for both of you. Like, at which time was it really fun do something creative with your heel turn and all that? And like, I mean, do you have creative control when you're at heel and all that?
In terms of being heel, it was really fun. I had a lot of fun with Vicky. She was a blast to watch her morph from this quiet, timid general manager who barely said 2 words to this raging Frankenstein's excuse me monster. It was so much fun, and it was very rewarding because I felt like her coach, like her heel coach almost, and then she took to it like a duck to water. I mean, she just took off with it, and it was so fun to watch, you know, and to come up with creative ways. Like, so Vicky, I had this idea where you come up to hug me to block the 619, and you get it. Or you're in a wheelchair, and Ray goes from the West Coast, I move. You cool with that? And yeah, that was great. Yeah, so, real great.
You got it?
I got it now. Big fan of both of you, but Christian, how much did you charge to use your likeness on the Comic Con advertising?
Let me tell you something. This is putting my kid, one kid, through college. Thank you.
So you can see like the heels and faces in the characters, but who are the nicest and I guess rudest wrestlers that you've met, like in real life?
Well, I'd probably be the nicest.
You don't believe him either, do you? I know.
Probably the nicest guy I've ever met. Kofi Kingston's probably the nicest guy I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
He should be champion, Jeff.
Yeah. I don't think you need to worry about that. You all keep doing what you're doing. I think that's going to happen.
Kofi's probably.
Kofi is an amazing human being. All the New Day guys are.
Yeah.
But Kofi in particular, we're
also me. Also me. I'm a good guy. You get to know him.
Molly Hawley is I mentioned her before, but she's an amazing person. Beth didn't know this, but Beth didn't have the money to do the training in OVW. And she showed up one day, and her fee for training had been paid. And she didn't know who did it. And then Danny Davis, who ran the school, said there might have been a little Molly angel that came by. So Molly paid for her training and didn't ask for anything, didn't look for a tip of the cap, didn't ask for any kind of accolade. She just did it. And including us. Also, Bailey's awesome. So you'll be happy to know Bailey's quite funny too. I mean, there's generally a lot of good people, but
I don't know.
It's exciting, man.
I don't know what to say about meeting people. I mean, it's not me. We all know I'm nice.
Brutal.
What do you think?
I just said.
No, jerk was.
Jerk.
I don't know
for sure. You are a jerk.
No, don't say it.
Like I said, you were a jerk. JPL was a jerk a lot. but he would be the first to admit it. So it's not like I'm talking out of turn. I mean, I would say it probably like, you were a jerk. But we get along great. So, you know, it's just, he's that guy in the locker room. He's that guy, you know.
Yeah. We're getting answered, buddy.
I got one last question.
You don't have a cube, sir.
Oh, there we go. He's really a stickler for that cube.
This is for age.
Aaron,
you already mentioned, has a question for you. Your two daughters, if they wanted to go into wrestling, would you encourage them?
I have a daughter too, just so you know.
Well, both of you all did.
I don't want to answer that.
This question was asked just for you.
I wouldn't encourage or discourage. They don't watch right now. We don't play it at home. We don't, you know, there's not wrestling pictures up in our home. There's not, you know, in the gym we have some stuff, that's it. They know that's what we did. But, you know, we told them we just play dress up and play characters, you know, because that's essentially what it is. But, so I wouldn't discourage them. I also wouldn't encourage it. You know, I want them to find their own path, and if that path involves that, well, then we have a very educated opinion to be able to tell them, right, well, this is what it's like. And also, this is what it's like for a woman in the industry, and what you will encounter, because what I encountered isn't what Beth encountered. So, you know, she was part of the reason that a lot of these doors got busted down. And I think it's changed now, and it's changing and continuing to, so it would be a different climate for women in the industry by the time, if they wanted to. But, hey, if they want to be an astronaut, if they want to be a plumber, whatever, you know, support them.
He didn't ask me, so I'm not giving him.
He gets so many. And so we got the ads.
Still watch SpongeBob.
How will you?